Hi and welcome back to my channel. Today I have another art journal page to share. I'm working in a handmade art journal with leftover papers and I have primed both sides of the pages with gesso. I'm dropping in some quinacridone gold fluid acrylics. I have the one from Golden and it's one of my favorite colors. I spritz it with water and then blend it in with a brush. What I love about handmade art journals in comparison to the ones you can buy is that you often have already some pattern on the pages, and it's also not so intimidating to start creating on such a page. As it's just a handmade book, you don't have the feeling wasting any kind of money when you ruin maybe a page. So that's a really big advantage, and I just can recommend make your own art journal, especially when you are a beginner and are afraid to maybe create something you don't like. If you do this in a handmade journal, it's not as important. What I also like is that you get rid of those many leftover papers, and I have a lot of them and I store them because they are yummy and nice. But I can't store hundreds of them, so this is always a good way to use those. Here you see me blending in the background with some heavy body white paint. I'm using the Sennelier acrylic paint. The quinacridone gold is still wet, so I blend the both colors together. I would be really interested if you are working in handmade journals, or if you prefer the board ones, and which paper do you prefer? Do you mind if the paper is a thinner quality, or do you want to have a real mixed media or watercolor paper? I'm also going in with a lighter blue. I can't remember which color it is exactly, but I know that it's one from Amsterdam. And I really love that color combination, and I also love the quinacridone gold mixing with that blue because it gets a really nice green. I now go in with my black watercolor pencil. This is the one from Faber-Castell from their Magnus series, and I really love this one because it's a jumbo pencil and it has a different feel when you play loose with that big pencil. I would say it's easier to play loose with a bigger pencil in comparison to a thinner one, but of course a thinner one will work exactly in the same way. I scribbled directly into the wet paint, and I don't mind if my pencil gets a little bit dirty. You can clean it on a sheet of paper, or you can just sharpen it, and then it's good. I'm using a black acrylic spray to add some splatters. I have dried the background with my heat tool, and then I go in to stamp my main image. At this stage of the project, I wasn't sure if I just would leave it there as it is, or if I would stamp the flower again to a piece of paper and color that in and then glue it to the page. The stamp is one of my newest stamps. It's from the Flowers Gone Wild stamp set, and I have linked all the stamps in the description box. And I decided that I want to stamp it again onto a jelly printed paper and then cut that out and glue it onto the page. I try to use jelly prints as often as I can because I really enjoy printing with the jelly plate. And here I picked this one. This is actually not a real jelly print, it's just a cleaning sheet where I cleaned the brayer and the stamp I've used for printing. I use StazOn ink to stamp the flower because it's best to work on acrylic paints, as it's a really smooth and plasticky surface. It dries the fastest. Of course, if you don't have StazOn, you can also use archival ink. Before I adhere the flower, I add some background stamping. The stamp set is the Mixed Media Marks set, and it's perfect for background stamping. When I stamp background texture, I always stamp a more generations. That means I don't ink up the stamp every time I use it. So you get some lighter and darker impressions, and that increases the dimension of the piece. Our stamps normally stick on its own to an acrylic block, but only if you have them really clean. So I normally use a baby wipe and wipe the acrylic block and the backside of the stamp. But it's really hard here because I didn't clean my acrylic block very good, and also the acrylic paint is really sticky with the stamps, and so the stamp stays onto the page. To avoid that, I could have used just a simple glue stick and stick the stamp to my acrylic block, but I think I was too lazy. Here I have already glued down the flower that was stamped to the jelly print, and I also added a sentiment. This sentiment stamp comes also with the flower stamp set, and I embossed it in white to black cardstock. I now go in with a water-soluble graphite pencil and add some shadows to the flower, also to the words. I'm blending it in just with a wet brush. That's my page for today. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope we see us next time. Bye!